Hey everyone, Felipe here. Welcome to another Tower of Saviors card review video. In this video, I'll be taking a look at the new Black Gold card, Divinity of War Chiyou. He will be coming out on the 11th of February, so we'll do a review now and probably another one once he comes out with my thoughts on how he plays. This card has a pretty long leader skill, team skill, and active skills, so this video will take a little bit longer than my usual video, so please bear with me today. So first, let's take a look at his leader skill. The leader skill has 7 effects, the first one being team attack times 7 and HP times 1.5. This is pretty standard in the current meta. You want to have high attack and also high HP in order to resist some of the enemy's attacks. For the second effect, extend runestone movement time regardlessly by 2.5 seconds. This, if you're running dual leaders, it is going to be an extra 5 seconds. Which basically doubles your movement time because normally you only have 5 seconds. As anyone that's played Tower of Saviors for a while, the longer you know that the longer you have to spin, the easier it is to get high combos and break different enemy shields, especially if you have to maneuver around cracked positions, weakened positions, weather position, sticky positions, or burning positions. Having more time to move is going to be really beneficial. For 3 and 4, damage received minus 20% and fire damage received minus 40%. This is going to be further increased by having a second leader or your ally. So this is also going to increase your survivability because your HP is high by the first leader skill effect. So being able to reduce your damage by 20% is also going to be really good to increase your tankiness in the stages. For the fifth effect, when the team is a mono fire attribute, your team attack increases by 1.2 additionally, and when the team has 2 or more attributes, team attack increases by 1.5 additionally. This means that Chiyou is more suited for a rainbow team because the attack multiplier is higher, but he is also suitable for a mono fire team since he also has that attack multiplier attached to it. This will come into play especially for ultimate stage achievements when you have to run a mono fire team. This means that Chiyou is still viable in those scenarios as well. Keep in mind that this the 5th and 6th skill will trigger based on your final team composition. So if you're running, for example, the 6th protagonist, Catherine, where she can change her attribute to the leader's attribute, this will still only trigger your 5th team skill or leader skill because your team will be a mono fire team based on the attribute synchronization. However, this will not count towards a mono fire achievement because the achievements don't count attribute transforming team skills. So just keep that in mind if you're running for mono fire achievements in the future. That will not reduce the viability of Chiyou at all, but that's just a little side note that I wanted to put out there. For the 7th effect, the more runestones dissolved, the higher the attack increases additionally to the max of times 4 for 30 runes cumulatively. Take note that this does not say first batch, so it means that any other skydrop that you get will count towards this attack multiplier. And we'll get to that a little bit later when we look at the team skill, but just keep in mind that this is not first batch and you can hit this 7th effect really easily in the Chiyou team. So now let's take a look at the team skills. Here we have the summarized version, but we're going to look at the table which has a more detailed version of the skills. So he has, what is it, like 9 team skills. So let's go one by one. So all electrified, frozen, weakened, lock for recovery, and petrify runes touched while moving will be restored to normal state and turned into god runes. Reduce the damage by burning to 1. Record the distribution of runes upon the completion of moving runestones. The first batch of runes to be dropped will be enchanted god runes of the recorded distribution. Fire runes possess the effect of other runes. Other runes possess the effect of fire runes. Damage of Divinity of War Chiyou will be dealt regardless of enemy's specific damage reducing resistance. skill CD of Chiyou -2, and when the summoner stops moving runes in the column below Chiyou, dissolving runes is necessary, fully recover HP. So let's unpack all of this. This was a lot, but we'll go one by one and I'll let you know what I think about this. Spoilers, I think this card is busted. So, first effect, all electrified, frozen, weakened, lock for recovery, and petrify runes will be restored to normal when you move through them and turn into gut runes. This, in my opinion, is really busted. Because electrified, this is 5 types of board debuffs that you can get, and normally you would want to bring a utility card in order to break these boards or these debuffs if you encounter them in enemy stages. Or you have to plan ahead or stack runes, or yeah, you have to stack runes or spin really well in order to counter these effects. However, Chiyou doesn't care at all. You can just move through them and eliminate the debuff completely, and you can just spin like if you were spinning normally. For the second effect, you reduce the damage by burning to 1. This is another board debuff that you can completely counter. This is going to be really useful because a lot of times when there's a lot of burning positions, you have to be really careful on how you maneuver your runes, even doing like diagonal spins in order to not kill yourself on the burn trails. However, with reducing damage to 1 by burning, you can just freely move and don't care about it at all. This is a definitely power creep from other black gold cards. For example, Chiyou could only counter electrify runes because he could just move through the electrify runes, but the other ones would not, he could not counter the other ones, as well as burning runes was a really big deal for Chiyou team, and because it was hard to deal with them as well. And for Inkten, you can counter burning runes, but it is the other types you have to rely on your active skill in order to counter them, while Chiyou can just counter all of these only by the team skill, which means that you only have to move your rune in order to counter these board debuffs, which is already pretty busted. For the third skill, this is what I think is going to be the core of Chiyou's gameplay. Just by spinning and dissolving runes is a pretty typical leader skill. However, this third team skill is what's going to make Chiyou, in my opinion, more fun to play and also differentiate him from other leaders. So what this skill means is that whenever you stop moving, whatever distribution you had is going to be the first batch of runes that are going to be falling as Skydrop. We've seen this skill before as active skills. More notably, we have Arias Shion from the Saint Seiya series. And I personally use this skill a lot in human teams and light teams. It is a really good way to get high combos as well as increase your damage for that round. I typically use that in a Xiangyu team to reach really high damages and kill enemies in one shot. So now that we have this type of skill as a team skill, it means that you can activate it every single round. This will increase your combo as well as increase the amount of damage that you deal. And this third skill is going to pair really well with Chiyou's leader skill because this will give you extra runes to dissolve in order to fulfill that 30 rune requirement for the extra ×4 attack multiplier. So being able to record the distribution of runes upon the completion of moving runes is going to be really useful, especially if you can activate it every single round. This is going to increase your damage by quite a bit and also help you just destroy your enemies, no problem. Just keep in mind the only downside to this team skill is if you have to stack runes. The distribution of runes upon your completion will only count your first batch. So if you're stacking runes in case you meet a Trojan enemy or one of those yeah, usually Trojan enemies or math number shields, it means that your sky drop will not be as uh, it won't be as much, just because you are not dissolving as many runes in the first batch. But yeah, for the fourth and fifth skill, these are your typical runestone possession effects. This is going to help you build a rainbow team by providing all your different attribute characters with attacking runes by dissolving fire runes. And also, it also benefits a mono fire team because it gives fire members the chance of attack without any fire runes on the board. This is going to be really useful for Chiyou because he can run any members in his team, and also you will not run of attacking runes, which means that you can easily just keep attacking your enemies and dealing damage without fear of running out of attacking runes. For the sixth skill, damage of Divinity of War Chiyou will be dealt regardless of enemy specific damage reducing resistance. This is also pretty good. This is a pretty good bonus for Chiyou. This is another one of those enemy skills that you would bring a utility card to break, which means that by doing that you can safely have another slot for a utility card. So you don't have to bring a utility card to break that shield. You can just use Chiyou's team skill to get rid of it. 7. Skill CD -2 is always nice to have. If you have a shorter cooldown, it means you activate your skills faster and you can kill enemies faster. 8 is going to be another one of the busted skills for Chiyou. If you had noticed before in his leader skill, there is no indication that your recovery is boosted. Only team attack and HP is boosted, but there's no mention of recovery. And as well as the runestone possession effect, there is nothing that acts as a heart rune, which means that you might think that Chiyou's recovery is going to be pretty bad. And his recovery is pretty bad. You don't have any extra recovery and you don't have possession of heart runes, which means that you don't have a reliable way to recover HP. Jokes. The 8th team skill is your way to recover HP. And it's not just any recovery HP, it's a full recover, a full restore on HP. And all you have to do is stop your movement underneath a column of a Divinity of War Chiyou. And this is honestly not going to be hard at all because you'll be running at least two, your leader and your ally, so you can finish your movement on the left side or on the right side in order to fully recover HP. And this is really good because this means that you have high HP and you can fully recover it every round. But this also means that you can easily stall for cooldowns. You just have to dissolve one combo, move to the sides, one combo, move to the side, and you should be able to stall out your enemies that way because you're fully recovering your HP every single time. Something that I want to note as well is that his first leader skill says team attack times 7. This means that Chiyou is not restricted to any attribute or any race at all. What this means is that you have every single possible card in the game available as a member for a Chiyou team. That being said, you do get different bonuses if you run a mono fire team or a 2 or more attribute team, but overall you can still run every single card as a member in this team. So busted cards that you can run, we'll get to that later actually. So yeah, let's keep looking at his team skills. We have by touching a burning position or dissolving 30 or more fire runes cumulatively, Chiyou enters Berserk mode. During Berserk mode, this card's attack times 2.5, damage can overpower water enemies, and damage will be dealt regardless of defense. So, if you have an enemy that has burning runes in the beginning of the game, this will basically just increase your damage to crazy amounts from the get-go. However, the other way to hit your Berserk mode is to dissolve 30 or more fire runes cumulatively, and that is not hard to do, especially because you have the third team skill with the guaranteed sky drop. So what this means is that you only have to basically dissolve 15 fire runes in the first batch and get 15 more in the second batch, and you will already have your berserk mode. So overall, in average, I expect that you could potentially have berserk mode ready in the third or fourth round of the game, which means that you get a permanent 2.5 attack increase, overpowered water enemies, and also a permanent defense break if you manage to get to berserk mode early. So overall, I think Chiyou is a really strong leader. It's in my opinion, it is the strongest card to date in the game, and his leader skill is just completely busted. He can counter a lot of board hazards, board debuffs. He has a lot of high attack. He has good recovery and can stall, and also has really good versatility in terms of which members you can fit in his team. So as a leader, I think he is the best leader to date in the game so far. So yeah, let's take a look at his active skill. So active skill is going to be CD8. Keep in mind that this will be a CD6 skill if you're running him as a leader and ally because of the team skill. 1. If the leader is Divinity of War Chiyou, restore all cracked positions. This is yet another board debuff that gets countered by Chiyou. Cracked positions are relatively new in comparison to other debuffs that we have in the game, which means that there are not that many cards that can counter it. So being able to counter cracked positions is going to be really good. For the second effect, tap one of the board setups to remove all runes, generate runes according to the setup. So even though Chiyou only has 2 effects, these effects are pretty busted. The board setups that you can include are these following 4. The bottom right one is only available during Berserk mode, but if you notice, these are all cards, or these are all setups that are going to be able to break different enemy shields. So this one, the top right one, can break Quintet Shield, and because of the team skill drops down Enchanted God Runes, you can break Enchanted Quintet Elemental Shields. The one to the right, top left I mean, breaks Trio Elemental Shield. The one on the bottom left breaks Light Dark Shields, and the one on the bottom right breaks basically everything, or a 10 combo shield. And also notice that all these will be a full board clear. We noticed in the Sigma Nightmare stage last week that it required you to dissolve the entire board. There aren't that many cards that can give you that, which means that Chiyou can just single-handedly break that shield as well, because all his board configurations are full board clears. And based on the ones that you can choose, you can also counter the different Trojans. So if you have a light Trojan, you can just activate this one where there is no light runes, and you can just deal a lot of damage that way. Also notice for the top left one, you already have 14 fire runes, and if you add Chiyou's team skill, that is going to be 28 fire runes. That puts you only 2 runes away from Berserk mode. So if you still haven't built up Berserk mode by the time his active skill is ready, which if you use a Dragoncraft, it's going to be a CD5 skill. If you haven't built up Berserk mode by then, you can definitely build up Berserk mode using his active skill. So yeah, I think even though his active skill only has 2 effects, these effects are really good in my opinion. You get to have a fixed board convert, which is always nice to have because it helps you spin different configurations and circumvent a lot of different enemy skills like sticky runes or tornado runes, or a lot of like board debuffs basically. But yeah, especially if you could get a -2 CD on it as leader and ally, it's going to be really good. And even as a CD8 skill as a member, being able to generate a board setup like that is also really versatile and really good as well, in my opinion. So yeah, what do I think of this card? I think this card is completely and utterly busted and broken. I think this card is going to single-handedly break the game for at least a year. Because he has a really good team skill, he has a really good active skill, and he has a really good leader skill as well. The way his leader skill is built, you can fit every single member in the game as a member, which means that you have access to a lot of overpowered cards and a lot of good support as well. For example, you can bring Daji, like Time Tunnel. You can actually also fit Iron Fan Princess. And honestly, I think fitting Iron Fan Princess is also a really good option because of the third skill. You can guarantee more Earth Skydrop by the guaranteed Skydrop skill. So in that way, you can guarantee your Iron Fan Princess to launch more attacks and really just be busted, honestly. Another notable member is the Mex Milodon. He increases the fire members to the left, increases their attack. So you can also further increase Chiyou's attack by placing Mex Milodon on the second slot. Especially if you have him in Berserk mode, you can further increase your attack to even higher amounts, like 2.5 times whatever you have from Mex Milodon. But yeah, and you can fit other busted cards, you can fit other black cards, you can fit any race. So in my opinion, this card is really busted and really, really good. So now we come to the question whether should you draw him or not. So keep in mind that if you want to get a guaranteed copy of Chiyou, you will have to spend 200 diamonds. However, if you want to save diamonds for the upcoming collaboration, which is the Demon Slayer collaboration coming up in March, I think, you will have to decide which one you want to draw. Because in order to get a full set of collaboration cards, you will also have to have quite a bit of diamonds. So what do I recommend? So I'd say black gold cards will always come back. Whether they will still be relevant when they come back, that is another question. But black gold cards will always come back. Collaboration cards typically don't come back, so if you want to save diamonds for the Demon Slayer collaboration, that is fine too. However, if you're a newbie and you don't have that many cards in your inventory and you have 200 diamonds to spare, or if you're a returning player and haven't had any of the current meta cards, I would seriously recommend getting this card because he is a really good leader and he can fit any of the cards that you have in your inventory right now as members. And based on how busted he is, I expect him to still be relevant at least for a year, so he can help you break a lot of the new ultimate stages and a lot of the content that MadHit will be releasing soon. For older members as well, if you have a lot of cards, that means that you have even more options for members for Chiyou, and I think it will be really fun to build different teams with different members based on the stage requirements. That being said, yeah, there is a collaboration seal coming out, but based on recent trends, the collaboration cards that we've been getting are usually locked to the collaboration, right? So we have monomachinas, or you have only gods, mono god teams for the Eva collab. So those are a little bit more restrictive in terms of what teams you can build. Except for so in that case, Chiyou, since you can build around any type of members without worrying about race or attribute, I think this is more versatile, especially if you're just starting or if you're returning and you don't have any good cards. So yeah, but yeah, if you want to save for the Demon Slayer collaboration, I would say it's up to you. So I don't want to say that you absolutely have to draw, but you have to balance between spending 200 diamonds for a guaranteed seal now or saving diamonds for the Demon Slayer collab. Just keep in mind that Chiyou will come back in an Ancient Seal draw or probably come back in the future. but he might not be as relevant anymore. Or you can say for the Demon Slayer collaboration that will probably not come back, because collaborations usually don't come back after they get released. Personally, I will draw for Chiyou because he seems like a really powerful card, and he will be really useful to generate a lot of Tower of Saviors content, so that I will be doing. I will also be probably streaming my draws, so look forward to that. But yeah, overall, final thoughts on Chiyou. He is a really busted card, and definitely worth getting. He can build around any teams, and he has availability, or he has every single card in the game available to him as a member. He has good recovery, he has good attack, and he has a really good active skill. So in my opinion, this card is going to be the most busted card to date in the game right now. So if you are looking for a busted card and you have the diamonds to get him, I would definitely recommend for you to pull a Divinity Award to you whenever he gets released on the 11th of February. But yeah, that is all I had to say about this card. Sorry about the long video, but it was a lot I had to cover. And as always, please let me know in the comments if I said anything wrong or if I missed anything about this card. Stay tuned on my YouTube channel for more Tower of Saviors content. Stay safe, take care, and I will see you next time. Bye everyone!